Hello everyone and welcome back to Brink of Speed. I'm here at Corvette World with my good friend Robert, and I'm here for a different reason.
Oh, a trio of reasons.
Yeah, we're going to talk about something that actually I've been wanting to talk about for quite some time, and it's for all of those out there who want to know what the slight differences are and the major differences are between the E-Ray, the Z06, and the Stingray. And we're going to go over this very in depth for you. That way you have a clear understanding of all the differences and why maybe you would purchase one over the other. So of course, Robert is going to help me out today with these three beautiful cars. So we have a Accelerate Yellow Stingray, a Red Mist Z06, and a Seawolf Gray E-Ray. So I say, let's get started with the Stingray and kind of work our way over.
I like a plan. Okay, so this particular unit is a 2023 3LT Z51 convertible. And yes, we are aware. I know people are going to say, yes, we're aware. We just a new arrival and we got it. It does have a crack in the windshield. A replacement's already been ordered. So yes, in the comments, not needed. We know. Okay, so that aside, obviously, color options across the board. The great thing is all the colors available for every model year are across the board. There haven't been,
Right.
except for the anniversary special editions, there haven't been any limitations.
Sure.
So the colors are not a factor. Now the Stingray, right off the bat, comparing to the wide bodies, you're going to see the inlet setup is not as wide. It's a little shorter, and you got a different front fascia here in the middle. You also see you got side inlets here in the front versus a center and side inlets for the wide body cars. Your stance is obviously wider on these, but they're not exactly skinny either. You got a 245 front, tire here and a 19-inch rim, which is actually straight out of the C7. But then you jump to a fat 305 20-inch in the rear. So which is actually wider than the C7 Stingrays and older generations. So still pretty fat, although obviously smaller than the 20 and 21-inch 275 front and 345 massive rears that you get in the wide body cars.
So yeah, what I was going to say about the Stingray is it's definitely wide, but when you get them next to each other, you can tell a pretty large difference. It's 3.6 inches wider for the Z06 and the E-Ray, and in person you can see the difference. It's, it's definitely noticeable.
Aside from the wheels, the wheelbase and the front fascia is another giveaway is the inlets here.
Oh,
the Z06 and E-Ray
Correct.
have the wishbone inlets. And just to put in perspective, my hand, I put my hand in there. See, I can pretty much just about almost fit my hand in this inlet versus, you see this, it goes up a little bit. And this here is like a slanted cove inlet versus the wishbone.
Right.
And obviously, you can get both in the exterior carbon flash for the Z06 and the Stingray. E-Ray comes standard in body color.
Yeah. And not only that, but here in the rear, you can see this fender bows out very, very large compared to this fender on the Stingray. And up front, the Z06 and the E-Ray have an extra line, which is right here on the front fender. So you see that's very defined. You've got 1, 2, 3 lines, and on the Stingray you only have 2. So you have this one and this one, but not this lower one that you see right here. So that's another major difference, showing you the width of the Z06 compared to the Stingray. Now, as far as the roofs go, the roofs are all three the same. There is no difference in roofs. You could actually swap them all out and they would all fit.
Yeah, literally from this line upward, identical. No difference. Yeah. However, one thing that is different when you work your way down, aside from the wide, is also your available Aero kits. Now, if you look at down here, you get, now, the E-Ray and the Z06 come with these carbon flash painted carbon fiber side skirts. You can also get them invisible. The Stingray comes standard like this. Now, this is obviously part of the body. This is not a piece. This is a body. However, you have the option of what they call black composite rocker that fits over it. And then you have two versions of the 5 series. You've got the 5W8 carbon flash which is like a long
Right.
side skirt. And then you have the same configuration in the visible carbon fiber known as the 5VM.
Right. And in the Z06, you don't have anything like that.
Correct.
You actually cannot upgrade your side rockers on the Z06 except for the material.
Exactly.
You can get exposed carbon fiber, but you can't get any larger than that comes. Same with the Eray. The Eray and the Z06 automatically come with carbon flash side rockers that look just like these. And they both automatically come with front splitters that are body color that match the car. And
you have the body color ones are fiberglass painted 3-piece.
Right.
And then you have the carbon flash and the visible, of course, are all carbon fiber. On the Stingray, you have 3 splitter options. You have, actually you have 4, technically. Fourth option is nothing.
Yes.
A non-Z51, or what they call the ZF1 delete package,
Right.
has nothing. All the Z51s, or any car with what they call the TVS low spoiler option, or the front lift option, comes standard with the black composite 3-piece front splitter. But then if you get the 5W8 or 5VM, it's a single piece, and it bows up over here on the side.
yes.
And then, of course, the finish is plastic, carbon flash painted, or carbon fiber visible.
Now let's keep with the Aero and go to the rear of these cars. The Stingray has 3 different actual spoilers.
Actually 4, but
there's
there was
4.
a change because obviously you have nothing where it's just
right,
smooth back.
right.
So that technically counts as an option by not having nothing. Then you have this, which is the standard Z51 spoiler, and then you have the high wing, which is a 4-spoke, and it sits about this high.
Actually, it's right over there.
Oh yeah.
So that's the high wing. Then you have the mid-rise high wing.
Yes, and then the mid-rise, brand new for 2025. It looks just like the high wing, although the slope's a little bit different, and it's about half the height.
Right.
So that's the new one that just
And
came
then you
out
have the
in
low
25.
profile spoiler.
You have the low profile, which debuted in 2023, and it sits almost flush, although ironically, they all mount in the exact same hole pattern.
Yes. Okay. So keeping with the Aero for the Z06, the Z06 has this right here or the Z07 high wing.
Correct. And obviously, this spoiler here, you can get body color or carbon flash.
Right.
And then you have the standard wickers, and you have the ones that are elevated, which is what the Eray currently has.
Yeah, the Eray has those on
elevated. And the Z07 track package, or if you were like Clarence, Seaguard Speed 252, you get the ordered Z07 style kit in either carbon flash or visible carbon fiber. And
Correct.
that's got a high wing that kind of bows here and comes up on the sides.
Then the Eray only has this one option. So it's kind of interesting. This car is, quite a bit more than the Stingray. This car is quite a bit more than the Stingray. The Stingray has 4 different options. These 2 cars, this has only 1 option, and this only has 2 options. So this is the only option that you have for the Eray. It's either these, or you can put the low rise on, which is exactly what's on the Z06. But you cannot get a high wing of any sort for the Eray as an OEM option.
Correct.
And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about OEM options.
Yes.
Now, real quick before we go over anything else, that has to do with the body, let's just talk about the price difference. So the base price on the Stingray is $69,995. The base price on the Z06 is $108,995. And the base price on the Eray is $106,995.
Now, also keep in mind when we state these prices, we're talking current. We're talking
Right.
2025.
Yeah.
Obviously,
They're going to go up.
We know the marketing.
Yeah.
When they first debuted in 2020, those days are over. The base Stingray is in the high 60s, and they go up from there, and they top out as high as 130.
Yes.
So you've got a massive, massive spectrum.
Oh, yeah.
Customization and option packages you can configure.
And this one tops out at over 200,000,
Yep.
and this one tops out at about 185, 190. So you can really build these cars up. The other thing that I want to go over real quick is the engines. So in the Stingray, if you're not already aware, it has an LT2 495 horsepower, 470 foot-pounds of torque. which is very potent. That car is extremely fast. It's about 2.90 to 60. In the Z06, it has a brand new 5.5 liter, and it's called the LT6, and it is a flat plane crank, high revving V8 that revs to 8,600 RPM. This has got 670 horsepower, 460 foot-pounds of torque, and is an absolute beast. And it sounds amazing because it revs to 8,600.
And it still, at the moment, as we're filming this, holds the title as the most powerful mass production
right.
V8 ever made.
Yeah, naturally aspirated.
Naturally aspirated, excuse me. Yeah.
No problem.
And when I mean mass production, I'm not talking the 1,000 horsepower crate motors that they throw in Copos.
Yes.
We're talking just a street legal production supercar.
All right, so a lot of people have this car wrong. This is a performance hybrid car. It actually comes with the exact same LT2 engine that the Stingray has. So this has 495 horsepower, 470 foot-pounds of torque, and it has an electric motor up front, and it produces 160 horsepower. So you are getting 595 foot-pounds of torque and 655 horsepower total out of this car. It is all-wheel drive. It is the first all-wheel drive Corvette, and it is the first hybrid Corvette. And trust me, I own one. It is ridiculous.
Yes, so if you're thinking of comparable cars, think the Porsche 918, think of the Acura NSX. This is obviously the version. Yes, Corvette's first all-wheel drive setup, and you can get them in a performance Zer configuration or a standard configuration with all-season tires. It is arguably the most daily driver-friendly wide-body Corvette ever made.
Yeah, so let's go over that next. We'll just start here. So this has two different packages. It's the normal setup where you get the all-season tires and you get the FE5 magnetic ride suspension. The Zer package gives you the 4S tires, so the all summer or summer only tires, and you get the FED magnetic ride suspension, which is a little tighter for more track use and things like that. That's actually the suspension that I have on my car. Yes. Now the Z06 has two different suspensions as well. It has the normal FE6 with the stock Z06, and if you get the Z07 package, it has the FE7 suspension.
Correct.
The FE7 is definitely going to be tighter for the track as well. The Stingray has actually three different suspensions. Oh, it has four.
Yeah, you got four. So four different options. You have the FE1 base level suspension. So these are independent shocks, and it's regarded as the soft ride independent suspension. The FE2 is a non-Z51 soft ride magnetic select ride suspension. So it gives you more options. You can beef up the suspension in its track mode, but it's not as rigid as the Z51s. Then you have the independent FE3 suspension for the Z51 performance package. And then lastly, the magnetic ride FE4 Z51
Oh, that's right. Yep.
And the FE4 is, of course, the beefiest, most performance-oriented suspension setup for the Stingray.
Yeah, and I've actually driven all of those setups. They're all very plush. Even the Z51 without the magnetic ride is still a plush ride. It just feels like you have the car in sport mode if you have a magna ride suspension. So you get a lot of different options with each of these cars in a lot of different ways, but one thing that you don't get a lot of options on the Stingray is the brakes. You only get two sets of brakes. So if you get a non-Z51, you have a certain size rotor and caliper.
Correct. You have Delco-based 4-piston front, 2-piston rear. But they're still smooth rotors. They didn't do slotted like the previous generation. But the circumference of the rotor is smaller.
Yes.
The caliper is smaller. It's kind of a giveaway. Also, the Z51s have a logo on the brake caliper, which is an immediate giveaway. Yep. All the non-Z51s will not have that. It'll just say Corvette on them.
But you can definitely tell a difference in braking and brake dust. So the non-Z51s are going to be very low on dust. The Z51s are going to cake dust all over your wheels.
That's correct. Now I will note, now the Z51, they went third party. That is Brembo. Brembo, of course, is who makes the Z51 package brakes for the Stingray. And Brembo is the manufacturer for all the brakes on the wide body cars.
Yep. So on the Z06, we have a little bit different setup. These have phenomenal steel brakes for the base model. They're still very large. The calipers are still, I believe, six in the front and four in the rear. Yep. But you also have, with the Z07 package and without the Z07 package, you can pay $9,000 and get the upgraded carbon ceramic brakes.
Yes, the big ones.
Those are massive. They're very low on dust. These are going to be very high on dust. So you have a couple of different options with the Z06.
Now, the ceramic brakes, I will highlight, now people worry about the cost of them, but I will say this, on average, based on the history we've had with them, now going all the way back to the 6th generation,
they're lifetime.
I mean, we've had Corvettes come in here and service with over 100,000 miles with the brake pad still in excess of 50%. Because they never raced them.
That's right.
They will last a long, long time.
Yes. According to Keith, he's the senior master mechanic here. He has said to me from the very beginning when I bought my C7 Z06 with the Z07 package on it that carbon ceramic brakes are lifetime brakes as long as you're not tracking it 24/7. With the E-Ray, there's only one option for brakes, and it's not really an option because they just give them to you automatically. And these are the big, massive carbon ceramic
Right, so you see the Brembo's brand logo there. Yes, these are obviously optional in the Z06, standard on the E-Ray.
And trust me, they are phenomenal in a multiple of ways, but the biggest way that they are absolutely incredible is no brake dust.
That's correct. The only stipulation that comes with them, if you are interested in getting one with these brakes, is you have to break them in. There is a process to it, but it's not that hard. Once you do, they're the best brakes you'll ever own.
That's right.
It's amazing.
Now, as far as the interiors go, two of these are the exact same. So there is no difference in the E-Ray or the Z06. You get 1LZ, 2LZ, 3LZ. The interiors are all going to look the same in these two cars.
And they have the same kind of upgrades too.
That's right.
Fiber, steering wheel setups, and whatnot.
And actually, I'll just show you what we're talking about because this is a perfect example. This is a 3LZ. You get the Napa leather with really nice stitching on the side. Now, the other thing that you get is you get a steering wheel with carbon fiber on the top and the bottom, and you get paddle shifters that are carbon fiber. Okay, those are all standard in the 3LZ. Now, you also get suede all over the interior, but that's also the case all the way over to the Stingray. So I'm not going to point that out because that doesn't really matter.
Right.
These are the things that matter. So if we go over to the Z06, this is a 2LZ, and you're going to see right away there's a pretty massive difference. And the reason why there is because on the door, you don't have that same really nice design. Now, is that super important? No.
No.
But when you feel this leather, it feels,
Yep.
Yeah, this is Mulan. It's not near as soft or supple. And when you look at the steering wheel, there is no carbon fiber on the top or the bottom. And the paddle shifters are aluminum instead of carbon fiber. Now with the Stingray, this is a 3LT. However, the Stingray does not get any of the designs on the door. And even though it's a 3LT, it does not get the carbon fiber steering wheel on the top or the bottom. And it also does not get the carbon fiber paddle shifters. You still have the aluminum paddle shifters. There is one more difference we can't point out because it's not in either of these cars, but if you get the carbon fiber interior in here, let's go ahead and open that door again.
So see this section here that's now brushed? This would be carbon fiber. You would have this wrap around the cluster as carbon fiber, and you'd have the cluster by the mode select there. That would be carbon fiber on the what they call now. It debuted this way, but then since they debuted these wide bodies, they call them the level 1 carbon fiber interior package. Right. That's the upgrade option on the Stingray.
Sure.
There's a level 2 for the wide bodies. We can't get on the Stingray. We can get on these, and essentially it expands your carbon fiber to encompass a lot more area. You'll see it in this wraparound.
Yes.
You'll see it
on here.
Yep, up there. You'll see it around the cluster. You'll see this entire center console area in carbon fiber.
Yeah, this is all carbon fiber where the red is.
And it'll accent your dash.
It also, where that red is on the dash, is all carbon fiber. Okay? So that's another major difference between the interiors of these cars depending on what you order as far as the trim level and the carbon fiber level.
That's correct.
Real quick, let's talk about exhaust.
Yes, I was going to say the rear of the bumpers.
Yeah. So yeah, if you look, we never did cover the rear of these wide bodies. If you look at the rear, the biggest giveaway is these rear vents. They are very skinny and wide, okay? On the Z06 and the Eray. And on the Stingray,
It's kind of squared off.
yeah, they're very squared off and fatter, not near as wide. That's the big giveaway. The rear diffusers are all the same. So you're not going to notice any difference down here in the carbon flash area.
Yes.
But the also big giveaway between a Stingray, a Z06, and an Eray is the exhaust.
Yes.
So right now, this Stingray has the stock polished tips, and because it's a Z51, it is a performance exhaust, but those tips look the same on the non-performance exhaust.
That's correct, yeah. So the non-MPP multi-mode exhaust has the same exact tips, but a completely different sound. Also, the non-MPP exhaust reduces the horsepower by 5. You go to 490 instead of 495.
Exactly. Now, all the Z06s and E-Rays come with the performance exhaust.
That's correct.
And the Z06 is the only one out of the 3 that has the center exit exhaust with all 4 pipes. And you can get the black tips as well as that color on the Z06, the stainless. So, and you can get the black tips on this, and you're going to see that on the E-Ray. It has the black tips, but the E-Ray has the exact same setup for the exhaust as the Stingray, and the reason why is because it's got the same engine as the Stingray. So
essentially, if you hodgepodge the Stingray and Z06 together, the Z06 Stingray,
that's right.
It's a mishmash of both.
Yeah.
And with the black tips, unlike the silver ones, they stick out, and the black tips are a little bit more flush with it.
These actually are contoured perfectly with the body line. So you see the rear diffuser has the sharp edges and kind of going to, in that direction, and that's exactly what these tips do on both sides.
Now, people have asked me, is there a difference in the sound? Not really.
To me, there is.
Very subtle.
To me, there's definitely a difference. I can tell a difference, but some people can't hear that.
Yeah.
I can hear it, and I love it.
I think it's subtle. I want to say it's slightly more guttural out of the black tips. Very slightly is what I pick up with my hearing. But I've had some people, we've revved them, and they say, I can't tell a difference. So
sure.
Subjective.
Now, there's a few more things I want to go over, but before we get to the engine bay, which is something I want to go over with all 3 cars, I want to talk about the E-Ray, because the E-Ray is the only car out of these 3 cars that when you're on the build and price, you can actually get the body color accents. So here,
the vents
back here,
and the front accent.
The vents right here on the front. And if you had a convertible, there's vents right here, which you'll see on this convertible, that those would be body color as well, just like on my E-Ray, okay? Now, I'm telling you that for a reason, because on the Stingray and the Z06, if you're on the build and price, they're automatically coming with the carbon flash on there. If you want these body color vents, it's $995, basically $1,000 to get that body color accent. But with the E-Ray, you can have carbon flash or body color, and it's free. You do not have to pay any money for either one. Will they change that eventually? I don't know. But as of right now, you don't have to pay for either option. But on both the Stingray and the Z06, if you wanted body color, it's $1,000. They come stock the way they're sitting right now with all the carbon flash. All right, let's move to the back because I want to go over the different options that you can get inside the engine bay.
Okay.
Also, you'll notice that on the Stingray and the E-Ray, they both have a Stingray back here, but this one has some slots that are different than the Stingray. And the Z06 does not have that, of course. It has just the regular C8 emblem, but this is the Stingray badge, so there are no slots in that. That's another
subtle
difference. Okay. I wish we had coupes for all three of these cars with this engine appearance package, because this is part of what I want to talk about. So these carbon fiber pieces, you're going to notice, are different on the E-Ray than they are on the Stingray and the Z06.
Yeah, it's true. In the Stingray, they're more flush here, and they don't bulk up like this
Correct.
does right here, and you don't have this cap right here.
Right.
That side, though, is exactly the same.
Okay. The other thing is you can only get engine covers on this car from the factory. Okay.
That's correct.
So you can get three different engine covers. You can get the stock, you can get an edge red, and a silver.
Yep.
Okay. Other than that, that's all you can do to this engine bay.
And again, this is it's the way they're ordered. In earlier years of the Stingray, for example, they came as the engine appearance package.
Correct.
So they came in bulk. Nowadays, you have to do individual op orders. The bay lighting is separate.
Right.
The carbon fiber pieces and the engine covers are separate. But again, the Stingray and the E-Ray have this available to them for this portion of it. The Z06, you have only two. You've got the standard black, and then you have the edge red intake. There's no silver option for that.
However, you have another option.
Yes, correct.
You have the crossbar.
Yes.
So you can get on the Z06 a really nice carbon fiber crossbar.
It mounts up.
And I'll show this on the screen right now so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But that thing is not cheap. It's like $2,700. So it's not going to be an inexpensive item, but it does dress up the engine bay. And there's one more engine cover on the Z06 that you can get, which is the full carbon fiber engine cover. If you get that, you actually cannot get that crossbar.
Right.
Because that sits up too high.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So that's another thing you can do on the Z06.
It's kind of a boxy thing. It sits right here. I'm sure Mike will do the image of it.
So you can get that on the Z06. So the Z06 has a few more engine cover / crossbars that you can get for it. And then the Stingray and the E-Ray are exactly the same. You can only get colored engine covers and then these carbon fiber pieces.
Right.
So
now for the convertibles,
yes,
there's only two ways.
So yeah.
So with all C8 convertibles, they all come standard with this area, this black composite cover sitting over the engine bay with access points for when they do maintenance, like fluid changes and checks. There's only one additional option you can get from factory that debuted in 24. You'll have the engine, what they call the engine appearance package. You'll have a square cut out with a plexiglass clear window.
Correct.
You can see the engine. And when you do that, that's where it enables the option to order either for the E-Ray or Stingray, one of the silver or edge red engine covers, or the Z06, the edge red cover.
Sure.
Yeah, the crossbar and the carbon fiber top thing are not available in the convertibles.
Right. All right, we're going to wrap this up for you guys. We just want to talk about one more thing. We should have addressed this while we were talking about the brakes, but the wheels. So with the Stingray, I'm going to let him talk about it because there are a plethora of wheels that are available on the Stingray. I think there's like 5.
Okay,
it's crazy.
So I'll just run through them really quick. So there's different finishes on all these wheels. I'm just going to lay out the design.
Yeah, just
you
designs.
have the 5-spoke with gap wheel that's standard and multiple different finishes. You have what debuted in 2023, the 20-spoke wheel that's available in different finishes that has a little Easter egg. It actually has the cross flags embedded into the design, which is really cool. I thought it was nice GM did that. You have a optional now, what they call 15-point spoke wheel that's available in either gloss black or bright polished. And that one is a fairly new one that's debuted as well. And then lastly, debuting in 2024 is, it looks like a 10-spoke, but it's regarded as a 5-spoke. It was sped to replace these, but these are still going in multiple different finishes as well.
Yes.
So again, when you go through the builder, you'll be able to see all these different options with all these different
and I'll show them on the screen so you guys can see them while we're talking about it.
Yeah.
The Z06 has 2 different types of wheel options, and so does the E-Ray. So this is the spider wheel. You can get this in multiple finishes. Or you can get a full carbon fiber wheel in
carbon flash painted or visible carbon fiber weave.
And visible carbon fiber weave with a red ring around it.
That's correct, yes.
And then same with the E-Ray. So the E-Ray only has this type of 5-star wheel in different finishes, or the same 3 carbon fiber wheels that he just talked about with the Z06.
Correct.
So that's going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope we hit all of the differences between these 3 cars. If we left anything out, be sure to let us know in the comments down below. But I wanted to let everybody know all the differences between these 3 cars, because there's a lot of you out there that really don't know some of these differences, and it will help you if you are, you know, getting on the builder and building all 3 of these cars, trying to figure out which one you want. You don't know this, that, and the other about them. Now you should know everything there is to know about the 3 cars.
And there's and keep in mind, there's also a plethora of resources outside of even GM's envelopes. You've got the Black Book, you've got other sites, you got the Corvette Museum. At the end of the day, you know, the builder, you can sit around, you can play with it until you find what best fits your desire and whether or not it fits your needs and budget.
And just so you know, we didn't mention the frunks and trunks, but all 3 of them are almost identical. The only difference between the frunk on the E-Ray and the other 2 cars, got a little tiny bit smaller at the bottom. You're going to fit pretty much everything you fit in the rest of them in that as well. Other than that, they all look the same in the frunk and the trunk. So that's really it. So again, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave comments, give it a big thumbs up. I hope each and every one of you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you guys out on the road.